online, daily webcasts at KXAN.com. From KXAN, NBC Austin, this is a weather update.
Good morning, I'm Tanya Carr.
And I'm RJ DeSilva. We have an hour-long special edition of the winter weather conditions that we've been dealing with overnight and up through even now, and several bad situations in terms of traffic still out there that people are dealing with.
We've got some roads that are closed, but we also have schools that are closed. So if you're at home watching right now, you know that Austin ISD is closed, Bastrop, Del Valle, Dripping Springs, of course, Round Rock and Florence. We have a long list. It's at the bottom of our screen on our ticker. Georgetown, Giddings, Hutto, Jarrow. You can see there Lake Travis, Laga Vista, Leander, Lexington, Liberty Hill, Manor, McDade, Pflugerville ISD. All of these schools are closed. Elgin, Rockdale, Round Rock, Wimberley. UT has closed and canceled classes for the day, which also affects bus service there. Cap Metro says they will be discontinuing the bus service to the UT campus at 11 a.m. this morning. That's in 1 hour. And we do have an hour-long show this morning. We've got our KXAN Live Chopper 36 in the air.
Chopper 36 is right now up in the Williamson County, Bell County line north of Austin, and Starflight, Travis County Starflight has responded to a pretty bad accident there. We're told that a Coryell County Sheriff's deputy is involved in this accident, and he or she has been transported right now, as you can see live there from our chopper, by Starflight, presumably coming down to Brackenridge Hospital. Also, a chance of whoever's been injured may be taken up to Scott and White up in Temple. But right now, Chopper 36 on the scene of a pretty bad accident in the Williamson County, Bell County line. Certainly a big concern on the roadways from the early morning hours when forecast first came on at 5 a.m. Slow traffic, a lot of accidents, as Terry McKay was reporting earlier on, and a lot of these accidents, obviously, as you can see from this scene, Chopper 36 up north of Austin, these accidents continuing.
And of course, we'll have Sean in just a moment to talk about the cold temperatures and when this ice is going to melt. But right now, out on the west side of town, we've got Rich Parsons who's standing by 2222 and 360. Rich, we've seen a lot of traffic accidents this morning. What are you seeing out there?
Guess what? We're seeing more accidents and more roads closed. We want to show you the situation out here on 2222 westbound right now. You can see Austin police have 2222 westbound closed just west of 360. That's because we're told if you look a little bit past, about 150 yards past where that red car is, that little bridge right there is completely iced over. Austin police say the road is basically impassable right now, right there. They've already pushed a whole bunch of cars out of the way. They say it gets even worse the farther west you go. So they have shut down the road here until they can get an ice truck out here, or excuse me, a sand truck out here to cover the ice with sand. We don't know when that's going to be. We don't know how much longer we're going to have to wait for that. So if you need to get out west, do not come out 2222 because you're not going to get through. And we want to take you over here. This whole area is iced up. This off-ramp coming off of 360 to take you west down 2222 is shut down as well. You can see there's a Jeep here that's sideways. He got a little jacked up earlier this morning. And the ramp right here, you can see there's a Camaro right there that's having a little trouble. Officer out there talking to him. We actually slid down that when we came out here too. So it is really a mess out here still. Again, we said it last night and we'll keep saying it. If you don't have to be out in it, don't, because you may end up like some of these folks. We'll stay on top of this and have an update as it becomes necessary. Back to you.
Rich Parsons live in West Austin, and as we mentioned early on in Firstcast, that situation on 2222 pretty bad because you're dealing with quite a few hills too, just west of where Rich was talking about. You know, past that red car is past City Park Road, a huge hill that people have got to deal with when they're going towards 3M and 620 and the Lake Travis area. So certainly something that people are keeping an eye on, even at this hour, 10:03 in the morning, after what we thought was kind of a lull in the winter weather.
That's right. And speaking of weather, we want to go to Sean, who's working hard in the First Warning Weather Center, and we're really just watching that thermometer, aren't we, Sean? We need it to warm up a bit.
That's what we're watching, and I tell you what, it is slow to climb. We've only gone up 1 degree in the past hour. In fact, take a look. Temperatures at the moment sitting in the 20s area-wide. Nobody is past freezing yet. We're still in the mid-20s, and temperatures are probably going to be to about freezing by noon. And we're seeing a little bit of the cloud cover break up as well. Right now, 24 here in Austin, 25 at the airport, 21 in Georgetown and Fort Hood, 22 out Burnett Way, and then all the way to Junction, 18 degrees. Even out to the east, where we're typically a little bit warmer, we're at 25, 27 in LaGrange. Now, just back it up a little bit. Where's the rain? It's far to the east of us. It is pushed out of the state now. What came through late last night, right before midnight, most of this was just moving through the area. Had a little surge in the moisture late in the evening. Jim Spencer and Laura Scurdy covered that last night, and as that system pushed through, that basically left the moisture that we have frozen on the ground right now that's causing us troubles, and it looks like we will probably not have to worry about anything else once this melts. But getting it to melt is pretty tough. Need some sunshine. Where is it at? Well, obviously the sun is up, but the clouds are covering it up, and it's starting to break from west to east. We're seeing a few breaks in the clouds. We're not seeing anything significant as far as a breaking in the clouds, but it is starting to move this direction. I'm going to go with this, 32 by noon. Some places may not be able to get there. It is just slow to move, and we're hoping that the sun will be able to break through some of the clouds and get us to that point. We're going to go for a top-end temperature of 38 degrees, although I'm willing to bet we're probably just holding the mid-30s at many locations. After this, tonight, partly cloudy skies, temperatures dropping back into the 20s locally. We expect a hard freeze locally and into the teens out in the hill country. We're talking about 17, 18, 19 degrees. Even out in the Del Valle area, out towards the airport, we could see temperatures in that range. So be ready for another night of hard freezing weather. This time, though, again, without any moisture. We have no rainfall expected out of this. In fact, into the weekend, we'll expect dry conditions, probably one more morning of freezing weather, and that'll be Saturday morning, and it's going to be close to freezing then. And then after that, we warm up into next week. Sometime next week, maybe a few showers. We'll have more on the forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Hey, Sean, before you go, are you still there?
Yeah.
I want to know how cold it feels like when you're walking outside right now. We talked about that 9-degree feeling this morning.
I can get that for you. I tell you, at the moment, temperature right now over at Camp Mabry is 24 degrees. The wind is anywhere from 10 to 21 miles per hour, so the wind chill is 9 miles per hour.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's, it's a good reason. It's not only is there ice on the ground, and not do we, we have the traffic problems and such, but nobody wants to be out in this. This is miserable weather. So best advice: stay home, watch us, and we'll keep you up to date throughout the day.
All right, sounds good. Sean,
and watch out for tomorrow morning too. Now, this is something that we got to be aware of.
That's a good
we
point.
thought we dodged this sub-freezing temperatures this morning, but again, as Sean is mentioning, the clear skies actually may lend itself to
colder
to
temperatures.
very cold temperatures.
Hey, and right now on the phone we have John Hurt with the Texas Department of Transportation, who has been hard at work, been up with us since about 4 this morning. And John, we've got our chopper over the scene of accident after accident. What are you guys seeing on the interstates and the big roadways here around the Austin area?
Well, pretty much now that daylight has come, we're fortunately beginning to see fewer and fewer accidents. There were, the roadways were just littered this morning with cars that had run off the road and smacked guardrails and had not taken the advice to stay home. But right now, the interstate looks good, the loop looks good, but the outlying roads, like you just saw from Rich Parsons, like 2222, especially west of 360, and some of the roads in the eastern part of the county as well, are still trouble and probably will be until, say, the middle of the afternoon.
John, earlier on in First Cast, you'd mentioned that y'all had gone out to a lot of these bridges and overpasses and de-iced them. Had a lot of your crews thought that things were okay, and have y'all had to call back a lot of the crews because of this?
Fortunately, we didn't get in a situation where we had to call anybody back in. It got so cold with the amount of moisture we had, with an adequate amount of moisture, that we would shoot bridges at 4:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning with de-icing chemicals, and we'd have to be back in 2 or 3 hours. The freeze was so hard that usually you can shoot it once and let it go, but we actually had to shoot some bridges several times today or during the night.
What are some of the biggest trouble spots? You said 2222, of course. That's where Rich Parsons is. What else are you seeing?
71, especially around the Pedernales River. Very treacherous right now. That particular location at the river has hills on either side of it, and we're seeing some traffic that's having difficulty negotiating those hills. So 71, again, the outlying areas are really the tough spots right now.
We're looking at the freeways. Not a lot of traffic. A lot of people did stay home today with all these school closures. Are you happy to hear that, or I mean, what do you want them to do the rest of the day?
Well, I want them to get the Parcheesi board out or whatever, because I know there are things to do. This is kind of like skinning the family dog. Nobody likes to do it, not the family, not the dog, but it's one of those days where you're just gonna have to live with it until it's over with.
John, real quick before we let you go, this time around, okay, yesterday we were saying, well, it really, especially when we're looking at the shot of I-35, and I believe this is around 290 or somewhere around Interstate 35, The surface temperatures is something we always talk about, and this morning you said you'd actually gone and checked out the surface temperature around the Mopac area. It was 34 degrees. Now, Sean had mentioned that our temperatures are expected to drop again overnight. Is there a concern about any potential moisture that's left over from the past day or so refreezing again?
Yeah, you bet there is. That, as Sean mentioned, it'll probably get above freezing, which could thaw, and then we're going to see a really hard freeze during the night. And as you mentioned, I even got a roadway temperature this morning of about 37 degrees, and it was nice and dry. But if we get a situation where the moisture, where it gets wet, and then you get down into the teens tonight, we'll be in an almost identical situation tomorrow morning.
All right, John Hurt with Texas Department of Transportation. We thank you so much. We're going to talk to you again in the next quarter hour, if that's okay.
Sure.
All right, thanks, John.
We also want to tell you that slick patches are especially treacherous when big rigs roll through.
Two tractor-trailer trucks, in fact, collided earlier this morning on Highway 290 in East Travis County. Now, it happened on the eastbound side near the future State Highway 130 intersection. There was still a pretty significant amount of ice on that roadway when our photographer passed the wreck at about 8:45 this morning.
So you go to either end. Rich Parsons was live in West Austin around the 22-360 area. Trouble spots there, and as you can see from this video, you head east, East Travis County. Two big rigs involved in an accident.
All right, well, it really is a good idea if you're sitting at home to stay at home. There are no errands that you need to run, hopefully, this morning. We're going to go ahead and toss it to a commercial, but we're going to be back in about 2 minutes. This is a live picture of this accident up north.
Exactly. We'll be right back in a few minutes with more on your weather and traffic situation.
What's important in your life?
That you need to know about.
Your child's education.
We need to elect new people who want to support public education.
Your safety.
Oh, there are places in Austin where you're most likely to become a victim of crime.
Your world.
They certainly weren't trying to offend or, more importantly, influence any voters.
The information you need to live your life.
KXAN NBC Austin has you covered.
Welcome back to First Cast. This cold snap coverage continues this morning.
It is 10:12 on this Thursday morning. Our KXAN Chopper 36 has been out as early as possible, the weather permitting, because of the cloud cover that was up early this morning, but certainly for the last hour and a half or so has been out and about around Central Texas. About 5 minutes ago, we showed you the scene from the Williamson County, Bell County line where Sheriff's deputy from Coryell County was involved in an accident. Our photographer Thomas Costley has been manning the camera as we watch Top 36 kind of head back towards the Austin area. Thomas, can you hear us?
Yeah, RJ, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, tell us, the airport hangar is in Georgetown. When y'all left there, you went down to Austin, made your way down to the Austin area, then headed west. Tell us about the situation you've been seeing. A lot of traffic backups or cars sliding off the road, or what's it been like?
RJ, the scene here is something you wouldn't believe, really. I mean, first of all, we had a really hard time trying to get the chopper out of the hangar this morning, and the door was frozen shut. But after we were able to do that, it didn't take long for us to start finding a lot of accidents. There was a lot of accidents there up in Georgetown and Williamson County, especially up around the airport area and along 35. I hear the farther north you go, like up towards Salado, it doesn't get any better.
Exactly.
A lot more wrecks there on 35. Even coming in this morning on 35 coming north, there were a few wrecks that happened right there in front of me. Look at this.
Yeah.
We got another one that just probably slid off the road. I mean, they're on black ice right now.
And is that what it is, Thomas? I mean, it looks just like a slick road, but is that solid ice right there? Can you tell?
You know, it's really tricky. I mean, you come out here. I mean, we're on Highway 195, headed towards I-35, just so we can check out. And you'll notice that, the roads look fine from the air, but you can't drive on them because it's completely covered in ice. You know, 18-wheelers pulled off on the side of the road here just so that they don't damage any cargo or anyone else on the road.
Right.
I've seen a number of police officers. I think we're passing up at 180. No, that's not 183, but well, I've seen a number of law enforcement officials who've been pulled off on the side of the road, who have actually been in accidents this morning. So just putting yourself in that situation isn't going to help matters. If the best advice I could give anyone this morning is to stay inside unless you absolutely, positively have to get out.
Hey, where are you guys headed next?
Right now, like I say, we're up here north of Georgetown on Highway 195. This is known as the road to KXAN. But we're trying to get to 35 so we can see if there's any more damage or what the traffic conditions are on 35. And we're going to go all the way down to South Austin.
Okay, Thomas, we'll let that signal clear up. And just to give people an idea, that's in Williamson County, 195 is the road to KXAN. If you're heading up I-35, kind of a roundabout way to go to get to Fort Hood and those areas. You pass through Florence, so 195, kind of a windy road too. And as you saw there, I mean, it's quite a few spots where cars have just slid off the road there because of the icy conditions.
And here, as you get closer into the city, we're not seeing that much ice, but there's still patches out there. In fact, on the phone right now, we have David Magana. He's the Director of Streets and Bridges Division for the city of Austin. And David, we talked with you a few minutes ago, and you said it's kind of all clear as you get close to the city, but are you seeing some patches of ice or anything?
Yes, we are getting reports of some ice still out there on the roads, and we're addressing those as quickly as we can if we get the calls in.
And what have you guys been doing? You said you had crews out in several quadrants of the city. What are you working on right now?
We basically have 3 crews out and about right now. We've got the North District, Central District, and South District. We've got basically 2 tandem trucks out there with box spreaders attached to them. And we've got hand crews, basically dump trucks filled with sand, and they can go out there and manually lay down some sand at particular locations that we get calls on.
Well, that's dangerous just that they're walking out there. Tell us kind of what you expect for the rest of the day. You said you had talked with the 311 service. Are citizens calling in, asking questions, reporting areas that are seeing some trouble?
Actually, about an hour ago, we had no phone calls from citizens at all. Most of our requests are coming through APD, Fire Department, EMS, Travis County, as well as TxDOT. I'm at the Emergency Operations Center right now. I've been here since 4 o'clock this morning, and we're coordinating with them constantly to address their needs as well as ours.
Real quick, earlier this morning, one of our photographers was out and about, and he said that he couldn't get on the South First Street Bridge over Town Lake. Did y'all have situations where you had to all of a sudden close the roads unexpectedly and then try and fix that and then open them back up?
That's correct. No sooner than we lay down the sand, we'd be called back about an hour later, go back out there and re-sand them again. It's just typical of what happens from time to time when we have no traffic on those roadways or bridges.
We talked to the state people at TxDOT, and do you have any concerns for tonight and tomorrow morning's commute as well?
Well, it depends on the weather. As the temperature continues to stay below freezing, we're still going to be here at the Emergency Operations Center manning our post and continue to address the needs out there. We're constantly working together with TxDOT and Travis County as well as APD.
All right, David Magana, thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you again in the next half hour.
Okay, earlier on you heard John Hurd talking about the situation off Highway 71 west of Austin as you go over the Pedernales River. Certainly areas west of Austin feeling a lot of the brunt of this wintry type weather. Connie Swinney live in Blanco County now. She joins us live with the situation over there. Earlier on this morning, Connie, you were picking up essentially what were big chunks of ice that had stuck onto the bumpers. Tell us about the situation you've been dealing with in the last few hours there.
Yes, we are hearing that a lot of the situation has cleared up in places like Burnett, Blanco, and also in Marble Falls. But today we were able to go to southern part of Blanco, and we found some motorists who are having the same kind of problems that they're having over in the Travis County area, where they're just driving possibly a little bit too fast or not fast enough for what would be considered a safe speed for the ice on the roadways. Now, we were out at Ranch Road 165 in that area right there, and we were able to see a couple of vehicles off the roadway, one in which there was a couple of guys that were just going to go on a deer hunting trip, and they rounded a corner and did it too fast and ended up going off the roadway. And that's part of the problem out here in the hill country and what they've been saying all morning long. We've got the winding roads, we've also got a lot of the hills, and then on top of that you have to add the fact that you've got these bridges, and the bridges are going over the water, and that's going to make those areas a little bit worse. TxDOT officials were out for most of the morning. Also, overnight was a very big deal, and they were laying out some of that gravel, but they still are not able to get all of the ices on the roadways. So that's why they ran into a few problems, especially in the Blanco County area. And as RJ was talking about earlier, yes, we have been seeing some more of the people that are in the western part of the Hill Country, actually western part of Travis County, east of us here in the Hill Country. There's one of those wrecks that we were talking about earlier today. But those are the folks that we are seeing that aren't maneuvering those icy patches very well, and they're getting caught up in trees and bushes, and that's where some of the problems lie here in the Hill Country. So if you are out and about today, especially if you're going to be driving into Austin from the Hill Country and you're taking either 29 or 183 or 71 or even 1431, I don't recommend 1431 at all because that is one of the curvier, windy, and also hilly roadways here in the Hill Country. You've got to be very, very careful. Now, EMS crews are also telling us one of the big problems they have out here and what they see is falls. Now, of course, some of the low-lying areas, especially over there that is a little bit farther east than us, we're going to see some folks that may have trouble on icy patches. So we'll keep you posted as the day goes on and give you more images. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot. Connie Swinney live out there in Blanco, and she brings up a very good point. A lot of people might just be waking up this morning because you knew you could sleep in, and if you walk outside, your driveway's covered with ice, those sidewalks, you really want to be careful.
Let's go to Sean right now for more on the forecast. And Sean, we're hoping for a warm-up, but then later on tonight, another plummet.
You know that it's a very good point that John Hurt had a little while ago about the fact that, yeah, we may be able to get above freezing and melt this ice, but then it would refreeze again tonight if we don't get it to dry up in time. We do have a little bit of a breeze out there, so fingers crossed. I'm hoping that we can get some of this to evaporate a little bit. It's going to be tough. I've got to, actually, before we get into the weather, all this, I've had some folks that have sent in some pictures. I appreciate the pictures. I don't want you stepping on slick walkways or anything to get them, but here's one that was sent in to us, and this is from Cedar Creek, Texas. Verlin Smith, I believe is his name. You can see for yourself there. Nice shot of that cactus that is covered in ice. Beautiful picture. We certainly appreciate it. Please don't jeopardize your safety, your health to get a picture for us. We'd certainly appreciate them, but it has been very slick. I can attest to it this morning trying to put snow chains on my truck. I slipped twice and just decided to give up. I said, the heck with it. I'll just drive in and go real slow. Now, right now, we are at 24 degrees. We obviously need 32, kind of a magic number there to get above 32 to get things to melt around here so we can get rid of the moisture, get rid of the ice, and have safer driving conditions for tomorrow morning. We've still got a lot of folks that have a lot of things to do, probably a lot of extra work to do on Friday now that they've had Thursday off. We have a breeze out of the north-northwest at 10 miles per hour, but we're still rather cloudy, overcast, if you will. We have 18 degrees out in Junction. We have 20s everywhere else. Nobody is hitting 30 yet, but San Antonio is at 29, so they'll probably be in line for that first. The day planner for today, up to freezing. We're hoping for it by noon. We've got a little whiles to go for that yet, about an hour and 40 minutes. Hoping that we can at least get to freezing today so that we can melt some of this and dry it up. I'm going to put it at 38 for this afternoon. It may be optimistic. It may be mid-30s, and then we'll see the temperatures drop again tonight. Again, 24 degrees. Statewide, 11 in Amarillo. They were in negative number range this morning, -6, I believe, one of the numbers that we saw. And then down at Brownsville, they were in the 70s yesterday. Even they are in the mid-30s this morning. Cloud cover is starting to break, and you can see that the bulk of the cloud cover is pushing off to the east. The rainfall left us early this morning. Take a look at this, a shot from our Hill Country tower cam, and that off in the distance actually is a clearing line. That's the very edge of the cloud cover heading towards us. Overall, it looks like we'll end up with dry conditions. Forecasts looking good as well. Just keep your fingers crossed that we can get above freezing, dry this up, melt it and then dry it, and then have a safer commute tomorrow morning. Much more on the forecast, including what we expect for the weekend and beyond, coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Sean. Well, as we said, a lot of people at home watching this. Watch that ticker for any closures of schools or businesses.
And this is video that our KXAN Chopper 36 shot on Mopac, north of Austin, near the Travis-Williamson County line. And as you can see, cars off the road. There's a situation that drivers have been dealing with a lot. Cars driving very slowly in opposing traffic. And when you look at the right-hand side of the screen, just cars that slid off the road. Precarious situation there the drivers had to deal with, and fortunately not as many drivers as you would find on a Thursday morning, but still, look at the one car overturned right there in the middle of the screen. So
again, that's Mopac up there near the Williamson County and Travis County line.
Okay, let's go to a situation up. Tanya, you want to talk about a situation in Dallas, right?
Oh, a terrible situation up in Dallas. Interstate 20 was closed in both directions in South Dallas for a little while this morning after a pair of tractor-trailer accidents. This one, of course, began when an 18-wheeler jackknifed in the westbound lanes of 20 and 45, closing those lanes. It jackknifed into an SUV belonging to KXTX TV of Dallas. Of course, that's our Telemundo sister station to KXAS. And so basically this, as you can see, the cab is in flames. Luckily, no one was injured. The photographer in the news van was away from the van. The driver of this truck was actually able to climb out of the cab before the flames really took hold. So a terrible situation. Again, that was up in Dallas on I-20. Again, those slick conditions and icy roads blamed for that.
I was miserable overnight. I mean, not even overnight, it was quick. It just came in and hit us. Everything froze up.
And everyone who was up this morning had to spend some extra time getting rid of the ice on their cars. Tanya, you had to do it yourself. Kate Wydell was out doing this, so was this gentleman. So a frozen window is certainly a concern for people as they tried to head out, they had to give themselves some extra time to deal with just kind of heating up the cars and then dealing with the traffic situation.
That's right. And we were surprised, a lot of us, how thick that ice is on your windshield. And remember, Sean gave us a good point. Don't pour hot water over it immediately. Take it slow. Start with cold water, then warm water, and then the hotter water. But again, you're still going to have to scrape a little bit, and you're going to have to let that car warm up before you take it out of your driveway. And if you don't have to, don't. Stay at home and don't get out there on the roadways this morning.
We'll be back with more coverage of our wintry weather right here on KXAN after these messages.
And there's a lot more where that came from.
Wheel of Fortune tonight at 6:30 on KXAN NBC Austin.
Welcome back to KXAN NBC Austin and our special 1-hour coverage of this cold snap that we're dealing with. It is 10:27 on this Thursday morning. Our KXAN Chopper 36 live on the scene right now above an accident on Palmer Lane and Harris Branch. So this is east of I-35. And as you can see, this right here is one of several situations where cars have either rolled over off the side of the road, just slid off the side of the road, so drivers still dealing with some treacherous conditions there, even this time in the morning.
And speaking of the north side, up there near Palmer, Highway 183 from Cedar Park to Liberty Hill is a mess, according to Haley Stavanoa, our Williamson County reporter. She's also saying Highway 79 between Round Rock and Taylor is very messy. Slow traffic there, several rollovers on, again, Highway 79 between Taylor and Round Rock, and really traffic on I-35 from Pflugerville between Pflugerville and Georgetown moving very slow. So you don't want to get out on the roads this morning if you don't have to.
Another messy situation out by 22, 22, and 360 West Austin. KXAN's Rich Parsons is live out there. And Rich, usually when we try and head out to that area, we say, well, from the station, take Mopac out to 22, 22 and head out there. It's today much easier said than done, isn't it?
Well, RJ, it can't be done right now. Look behind me here. That's 360 right there, the overpass. This is 2222, and the Austin Police Department has closed it right at this intersection right here. They're not letting anyone go westbound on 2222 right now because about 200-300 yards that way, there are some small bridges that are just, they say, too icy to even try to pass over. They're waiting for a sand truck, but they don't know when that's going to get out here. They're letting eastbound traffic travel through here, but nothing is going westbound. One guy just tried to get through saying, my turn is just past that. They said, no way, pal, you're not going anywhere. In fact, they've even shut down the off-ramp right here. There's a jacked up Jeep right there. You can see the police officer. He can barely even walk on that sheet of ice there. They got one guy out of his car a little while ago, and he about fell over, and he just took off. He got a ride and went home, I guess. The off-ramp to my right here, people have been sliding that thing all morning long. We slid down that. Real dangerous. That officer that you just saw walking up there, he was actually acting as a buffer between a car and the wall so that the car didn't hit the wall. So it is really dangerous out here. This is not something you want to trifle with. If you can find another way around, I would recommend that. But I guess the best recommendation of all is don't go out if you don't have to, because we're seeing people bounce off other cars and things out here, and it's just a big mess.
Rich Parsons live at 2222 and 360 there. A situation that's been kind of the same since very early this morning. Thanks a lot for that update and that pretty interesting video right there. You know, we try and get information over the phone and whatnot,
right.
but
You
when
see
you
it
just see it
firsthand.
firsthand, that police officer kind of very slowly trying to get over that overpass because
You
of
made
the
it.
icy
You didn't take a
conditions. Yeah.
tumble. That was
Yeah.
good. But you don't want to head out on that ice this morning. And if you do need another form of transportation, we've got Capital Metro and Andrea Laffey on the phone with us this morning. And Andrea, you were telling us the Cap Metro buses are, for the most part, running just fine. What's going on?
That's correct. They are operating on time, on schedule, with really no problems.
I asked you, bus drivers, not seeing any icy patches? You're not worried about some of these things that we're seeing out there, like 2222 or I-35?
We aren't really having any problems in those areas, but keep in mind our bus operators are professionally trained drivers driving very heavy, sturdy equipment. So that's probably why we're having an easier time out there.
Boy, that's a good point. Texans really don't know how to drive on this stuff.
Andrew, could you talk a little bit about the UT shuttle system? UT is shut down today. What are y'all hearing about any kind of shuttle drivers or any kind of transportation to and from UT? You've closed down, obviously.
We're going to close down at 11 a.m. The university made the decision a little after 9 a.m. this morning that they were going to close their offices today, and because we had already begun our service at that point, we decided to keep our service operating for about 2 hours to get folks back home.
Any tips or I guess anybody wondering about the routes for tonight and tomorrow morning? Any concerns?
All of our routes will continue to operate. We're really not encountering any problems, but we did cancel our e-bus routes, which mainly go to the university, due to the inclement weather forecasts, and we generally have very low ridership on those routes when weather is as cold as it is today.
Okay, Andrea, thanks a lot for joining us with that update on Capital Metro. You know, a lot of times when we get this freezing weather, we talk about protecting plants, people, pets, and pipes.
That's a good point.
So let's talk about the pipe situation here. Sylvia Harapetian live to talk about some water main breaks, potential water main breaks. Sylvia, update on us on that, please.
Good morning, RJ. We have had some confirmed water line breaks. Now, in these freezing temperatures, the ground contracts, put pressure on water lines, and well, they go poof, and that's exactly what happened just a few minutes ago on 18th and Rio Grande. Let me show you the video. We shot a little bit about 10 or 15 minutes ago. John Salazar and our Chris Allen out there. Video coming in a minute. Okay, fantastic. The water line broke 18th and Rio Grande, and we're told, take a look at that. Look how tall that water, well, there you go. With these freezing temperatures, you do not want to be anywhere close to that intersection or on that street, because you know as soon as the water hits the street and the ground, it is going to freeze. And this isn't the only one. Apparently, we've had several water line breaks, and we've had some on Windsor, we've had some on Balcones, we've had one on St. Anthony, we've had a report on East US 290, Hope Trail and Stevenson intersection, Crestwood, and the very latest one, 18th and Rio Grande. And we're told at this time it is unclear when crews are going to be out there to repair these lines, but this very latest one taking priority at this time. No one affected, because people usually get affected when folks get out there to repair these water lines. At this point, we're told it is unclear when they'll be out there to fix these water lines. But again, this is not the only one. If you want more detailed information as to where these water line breaks are, log on to KXAN.com. Sylvia Harapetian, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. And of course, UT students, ACC students familiar with that area, 18th and Rio Grande, just south of MLK Boulevard in downtown Austin.
Hope somebody gets to move that one car out of the way before it ices over. Sean's in the First Warning Weather Center. And Sean, we've been talking about the temperature not warming up as we'd like it to today. What are you forecasting for the rest of the day?
We would really like to see it hit at least above freezing. We're not seeing the temperatures move much. In fact, it may be a long shot to get to above freezing in some areas, but we need to have that at least get to above freezing, see the ice melt, and then hopefully be able to dry it off before we get back down to freezing again, which is going to happen tonight. Mid-20s locally, teens in the surrounding areas. By the way, it's got to be record-breaking temperatures, right? Tied a record over at Camp Mary this morning, hit 23 degrees there. Tied a record from December 8th, set in 1927, and then broke the record over at Bergstrom. That one broke the previous record low of 27. We hit 25 there, and that was from 1976. We're celebrating 200 years back then. Okay, let's see what's happening as far as conditions. You can see that we have a shot here, another picture coming in from one of our viewers. This is actually in Gerald, and that's looking northbound. Look at all the trucks that are just standing there, not moving. They evidently had quite a bit of traffic backing up in those areas. At the moment, we have 24 degrees locally, 26 out at Bergstrom. We have 20s area-wide out to the west, though in Junction 18, we're 19 degrees over at San Angelo. They have clear skies. They have the sunshine, and they're at 19 degrees. More cold air is pouring in, so it is probably going to be a tough battle to get above freezing. We're hoping for it this afternoon. 24 right now, winds out of the north-northwest at 10. What does that make it feel like? It's actually feeling like 9 degrees in many locations at this very moment. All right, let's see what we have. As far as temperatures across the state, teens to the north, cold air still moving in. It's going to be a very cold night once again. As we mentioned, probably going to see the same temps and even colder in some areas. There's your wind chills, 9 degrees up and down I-35 into the west and Junction. Feels like 2 degrees in Abilene, Amarillo, -3. Oklahoma City, -2 right now. We do have that clearing. You can see the clouds starting to break. We're hoping that we can get that in here, get some sunshine in, warm up a little bit, and get some of the moisture that's in the form of ice right now melted and, of course, dried up. We'll go with 32 by noon, but at the moment, I think it's probably going to be a tough bet to get to 32. Let's just hope for it at all this afternoon, and at some point, we'll get to possibly 35, and then we'll get back down to freezing and below that again tonight. And for the weekend, one more freeze. Saturday morning, about 30 degrees.
No.
And yeah, I know. If your plants are outside and they have survived one night, make sure you get them in. I don't know how they could have, but yeah, go ahead and take the precautions again for tonight and for the next night, and then it looks like next week we'll be in much better shape.
And Sean, don't you think after night of these cold temperatures, our pipes and our homes and that kind of thing are going to need some extra attention? Do you agree?
I'm anxious to go home and check my house this
what I
morning.
think.
Yeah, you know, a lot of folks have, well, they'll have galvanized pipes. They have raised floors where they have the pipes underneath there. Right. As we continue to have the cold weather, those pipes at some point can start to give you a little trouble. So make sure you're running the water in there.
Just keep it dripping, right?
Flowing. Yeah, keep them dripping.
And any other concerns about this evening? When do you think we'll see the temperature drop again, where this slush might freeze over and become hard and treacherous again?
Well, warming is terminal when the sun sets. So whatever we can get with the sunshine today is all we're going to get. If we can get to the freezing point and a little bit above it and get some of this ice melted, great. If not, we're going to be talking about a lot more tonight, especially when Jim Spencer is talking with you at 6 and 10 as we see what is melted and what's not through the day.
All right, Sean Rutherford, thanks a lot.
And our KXAN Chopper 36 live over Mopac and Town Lake. And as you can see, cars going very slowly there. Now, for those of you who were driving on this stretch last night, about 10 o'clock or so, you know how backed up this place was. The city had actually shut down Mopac both directions over Town Lake overnight, but of course, opened back up, cars going very slowly as they, need words of caution about the dangerous situation that drivers in other parts of Central Texas are dealing with. We'll be right back. Welcome back to KXAN 1039, and as you can see at the bottom of the screen, many school districts closing for today because of the weather conditions. Certainly, we're hoping to get the latest information from them about what they plan on doing tomorrow, because as you heard Sean say, temperature is supposed to drop below freezing again, but of course, we'll be updating you on that throughout the day.
And you see city offices, state offices, a lot of folks are closed, so a lot of people are not on the roadways as you'd usually see on a weekday. However, there are plenty of people out there, and John Hurt with the Texas Department of Transportation joins us on the phone this morning. And John, you've been a busy guy, a lot of people busy in your department. What are you seeing on the freeways?
Yeah, this is actually when we're our busiest, I guess. But things are looking pretty good right now. As we talked a little while ago, some of the outlying areas are still icy. We have good conditions on the interstate. We have good conditions on the U.S. highways around the area. Williamson County looks really good, and the two problem spots, again, were 2222 west of 360, and that area on 71 in general, and the Pertinalis River in particular.
And you said that 71 Spicewood area is pretty bad. What are you guys doing? You're putting down sand? You're putting de-icing chemicals? What are you doing?
Yeah, we use the de-icer mostly in these situations, and that's the problem we had last night was law enforcement has a tendency to be anxious to close bridges and overpasses, and the de-icing chemicals that we use actually need the friction from the traffic to work. So if you close off a bridge or an overpass, you've defeated everything that we've done. So what we're trying to do is get to these areas, put the de-icer down, get traffic back on them and moving so that this ice will turn into a slushy material and then it pushes off to the side.
Hopefully you don't have to answer that call waiting signal there. John, TxDOT's Austin District Office covers a pretty wide area. Now, we've been talking about the western parts of the area. What about if you go north of, say, the Georgetown area or south towards the San Marcos, Hayes County area?
Well, we do. We have a traffic accident that's working right now at the Bell-Williamson County line. And as you get into Bell County, they've actually had some situations up there where the interstate was closed. That gets out of our district, but we're in constant communication with the other districts. Hayes County, the interstate is open and functioning well, but as you get to the west of the interstate, especially that hilly area off to the west, you've got to be particularly careful because those FMs and RMs over there may only have an average daily traffic of less than 1,000 vehicles a day on a good day. So on a day like this, they may be particularly, they're more icy than they would be if you had a busier roadway.
And it goes without saying, John, of course, those bridges and overpasses are probably the biggest thing to tackle today as well, right?
Oh, yeah, and they'll continue to be throughout the day. They're the first to ice, and they are the last to thaw. So if Sean, as Sean said, we're not looking for 38 until late in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, be careful on the bridges and overpasses throughout the day, even though they've been de-iced, and that shiny material you see on the bridge is actually the de-icer. It's still not, it's still not a cue to, the best thing you can do on a bridge is not change lanes and not accelerate.
That's a good point. And real quick, before you go, statewide, are you hearing of any big closures? You said North I-35. Anything else that we need to be paying attention to?
Nothing just jumps to mind, except we know that up around the Dallas area towards Tyler, north central Texas, all of that has been particularly hard hit. And if you're heading in that area, if you just have to go, expect it to take a lot longer. If you can postpone that trip, that would be even better.
Okay, John Hurd from TxDOT, thanks a lot. Just hold it on this picture if you could, control room. We just, the Chopper 36, while John was talking, was heading from Austin towards the Oak Hill area, 290 west, 71 west, and as you saw, as you can see right there, cars off to the side of the road, so the situation kind of repeats itself, whether you're going north, south, east, or west of Austin in terms of drivers just having a bad time with these roads right now.
And of course, that is Highway 71 headed to the Pertinalis River area, which John said was one of TxDOT's trouble spots. And as you head out in that direction, we want to know what's going on in the Hill Country. And our KXAN Connie Swinney is actually standing by with a live report. And Connie had big chunks of ice in her hands this morning, stuff that was falling off the cars. And deer hunters hitting trees, right, Connie?
That's right, Tanya. And you know what? I found you some more ice here.
That's what I wanted to see. But you don't have your gloves on.
No gloves because, they're already numb. I may need to get new fingers tomorrow, I think. Oh, I found this right here at a corner in Round Mountain. It's the Southwest Center parking lot. We're seeing a lot of this, the patches on the roadway, and we also had TxDOT who was telling us that they had their most trouble overnight in that area you saw right there earlier from the Chopper 36 shots. That 71, that is one of the bad spots here. Also between here and Williamson County, between here and also Hayes County. If you're taking anything from 71 to 281, to 183 all the way down to 290, you're going to run into trouble. And we did run into trouble this morning. Take a look at some of these images that we saw earlier today. We saw motorists who basically were going an unsafe speed and they ended up going off the roadway. And because they went off the roadway, they wrecked, as you can see. They're into trees or fences. And so authorities basically were kept pretty busy. They had their hands full overnight, as well as this morning with some of these things that were happening. What we see basically is we have the windy roads. We have also some of the hills. And then we have the added bonus, I like to say, of these bridges, because there are a lot of creeks, a lot of rivers in this area. So those bridges are definitely going to ice over real quickly, as some of the authorities have been telling us. Now, also, we need to keep in mind that because of that, people were a little bit concerned about some of the school children traveling in buses over in those areas that are east here of the Hill Country to be west of you guys there in Austin. So they did delay some of the schools here. There were some cancellations. Non-essential employees also were delayed to work at places like the city of Burnett. So we'll keep you posted and bring you some more images as time goes by. Reporting live in Round Mountain, Connie Swinney, KXAN, NBC Austin.
You know, we just can't thank Connie and Haley Stefano enough for bringing us updates since our 4 o'clock news yesterday afternoon, braving these cold elements to bring us the latest pictures and images of what they're dealing with. Haley, of course, we haven't been able to talk to because that crew up in Williamson County has been stuck in traffic. And as you'd mentioned earlier, Tanya, Haley telling us that Highway 183 from Cedar Park to Liberty Hill, messy. Highway 79 from Round Rock heading east to Taylor, messy. So certainly, even at 1046, 1047, people dealing with quite a bad situation out there.
Now, Sean, you're in the First Warning Weather Center, and earlier you showed us a shot. It was kind of a horizon shot, and it showed the skies clearing, which I guess a lot of us thought would be good news. You said not necessarily the best news.
You have ESP. That's exact. Take a look. That's
Mom's
the first
intuition.
picture. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly the first graphic I had loaded up. That's a live shot from our Hill Country Tower Cam. Very close to where Connie Swinney is at the moment, and you can see off in the distance there. It's the blue is actually the clear blue skies at the moment. We don't have anything other than just the cloud cover out there. And as we go through the day, we're going to see that cloud deck move east, which means that we'll have clearing from west to east. We're hoping that at some point we can get some temperatures in here that'll warm up above freezing, but I tell you what, at 1047, temperatures are sitting in the mid-20s locally. It really gets you to worrying as to whether we'll be able to get much above freezing. We need to get above freezing, dry the streets, and then be able to endure what we're going to have tonight, and that is more freezing weather. Right now, 24 degrees out in areas to the west. We're looking at some upper 20s now that we have a little sunshine. Llano and Kerrville picking up 27. It's not a big deal, but every degree counts in this point once we get the sunshine on it. College Station, Giddings, and LaGrange also at 27. We have 26 over at the airport. 21 at Fort Hood. Very likely with the cold weather expected tonight, we will probably break the temperature, the record low temperature out at Mabry, but Bergstrom is not as likely. They had a record back of 15 degrees back in 1898. That one's been hard to fall, but this one that we have for tonight probably is going to fall. Now, as far as cloud cover goes, there's not a lot out there. Let me actually get caught up on some shower activity. Rain pushed out of the state early this morning. We had one little last hurrah of showers that rolled across the area late last night before midnight. That's what dropped a lot of the moisture on the ground. Now, it was not a significant amount of moisture that fell, and that's what's causing a lot of trouble for a lot of folks, is that we have that little thin sheen of moisture that was coming in as a light mist. That's creating black ice, which is basically something that you can't see very well. It maybe the road may look like it's wet, but actually it's iced over. Very thin layer of ice, which plays all kinds of chaos on traffic. Now, the cloud cover, as we mentioned, it's starting to break from west to east. We need to get some sunshine in here so we can warm temperatures up. Fingers crossed on this one. We need to be able to hit freezing and then get a little bit above it. We do have a nice breeze out there. If we can just get the moisture, get the ice to freeze down to a moisture, then dry it up with a breeze that we have out of the northwest, then hopefully we can dry this up, because tonight we'll be back into the mid-20s. Surrounding areas will probably be in the teens. And then as we get into Saturday morning, probably one more freeze before this is all over. So sit tight. We're going to have coverage, of course, all through the morning and the day. We'll have another update coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks a lot, Sean. We're kind of huddling here because when you're talking about that kind of weather, we're also talking about people's animals. You're a new dog owner, and
yes.
We really need to watch out for those animals today and tonight, don't we?
Yeah, I have a Chihuahua with, I don't even think he has hair. I think it's just coloring. But yeah, even in temperatures below 72, he just shakes all the time.
All right. Well, that's a good reminder. Pipes, peoples, plants, and animals too, right?
Yep,
Pets.
exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sean. And of course, another reminder as well, if you're traveling by air, the airports are open, but that does not mean your flights are leaving on time. If you have somebody flying out today or flying in, you need to call the carrier to find out what's going on there.
We've also set up a link on KXAN.com to ABIA's website, which has got their updates on flight information, but the airport, from what we've been told, is open. You know, overnight, well, you could say a lot of people, not as many as in past ice storms, but a lot of customers did lose power. Ed Clark from Austin Energy joins us on the phone this morning. You've been very busy. Ed, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
At its peak, how many customers had lost power, Ed?
Well, not all at one time, but overnight we had as many as 18,000 customers without power. We had a really sort of an interesting phenomenon, and that is that once ice formed on some of the larger lines that carry power through and into neighborhoods, it got pretty thick, about an inch, as much as an inch. And when the wind came along, and there was a lot of it, that ice acted as sort of a little wing, and it makes those lines start moving up and down, up and down. And when they get close enough to each other, and in some cases they touched each other, which of course shorts them out immediately, but when the electromagnetic fields cross over, it can trip the line off. So we had a dozen circuits trip off from what we call galloping due to the ice on the lines, then the wind, and we'd fix one and another one would occur. So it was a little frustrating. It did happen, though, pretty much overnight. So most people were hopefully asleep and hopefully didn't get too cold before we got it fixed. We got most people up pretty quickly, and at each segment of the evening, we've never got really close to 18,000. That's kind of the total, and we had everyone back online by early this morning. Right now, the system is operating perfectly fine. We really have almost nothing going on. And so let's just keep our fingers crossed.
Certainly good news, Ed. I know you had crews working overnight, and then relief crews came in. What's your outlook for later on this evening into tonight? You know, we heard Sean talk about the cold weathers. Do you expect more of these wires, the utility lines freezing?
Well, if we don't get moisture, we should be in good shape. Of course, wind is always a big problem for an electric system.
What about those frozen branches and other things that could hit those limbs? Any concerns there?
Well, it is a concern, but you know, I will tell you this. Austin is in the best shape it has ever been in for tree trimming because we've been doing about 400 miles a year, and previous to about 3 or 4 years ago, 90 miles was kind of what you did in a year. So what we're doing is we are trimming this entire community, and the result of that has really been, I mean, today and last night would have been much, much worse if we had not done the trimming that's been done over the past few years at the accelerated pace.
That is good news to hear this morning.
Ed Clark, thanks a lot for joining us. I know you all have been busy. Try and get some rest if you can. You've been busy giving us updates, so we appreciate that.
Thank you.
And of course, as we talk about all these temperatures outside and the ice, we want to know what it's doing right now. Haley Stavanoa has made her way from the north side, Georgetown area, and now she's outside our KXAN studios. We're here at MLK between Guadalupe and Lamar, and Haley, you still look cold.
It is. It's still cold, and I can tell you the roadways from Georgetown to Taylor to Pflugerville, people are still moving very slow. The roads out there are still very slick. There's spots in the roadways that you've really got to be careful. We still are seeing a lot of cars in the ditches. When we went out to Taylor out 79, whew, all I can say is what a mess. We saw a couple rollovers. We stopped and got some video. There you can see a truck. He said he hit a splotch of ice, went off into the dirt, turned up on his side. The wreckers out there are staying very, very busy picking up the cars. That was a second rollover that had happened in Hutto, and they've been working around the clock, they said. And we know that the sand trucks are out. We saw still lots of sand trucks out, putting sand out on the overpasses and the bridges. So again, 79 is still a mess. We're also hearing that 183 North from Cedar Park to Liberty Hill is also very messy, and that there's just been wrecks happening all over Williamson County. So, and even what we just saw, we just came in 35 from Austin to Round Rock on 35. Traffic is still moving very slow. So all the authorities and law enforcement that we've talked to said, if you just don't have to get out, don't. Stay home. They're telling us, please tell the public, stay home, because even though the sun is out, you're thinking, oh, the roads are better. Let me tell you, they're not. It's still slick and wet and messy, and it's just crazy out there. So stay home. Don't get out. That's my advice.
Hey,
RJ and Tanya.
Haley, look over at the sidewalk. I know we salted a lot of areas, but some of it's still icy. Have you seen anything melt, or is it still slick?
You know what? There is still ice on the vehicles.
Right.
And there is still ice on the grass. The grass is still crunchy. We are still seeing a lot of ice. I mean, it's still
not melting away.
Right. It's not melting. It's still below freezing, and even when it gets to freezing, it's still going to take a while for it to melt. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Haley. We appreciate you braving the cold for us.
Sure, you bet.
Okay, we've been talking about wrecks. You know, according to Austin Travis County EMS, there were 7 wrecks between 6 and 7, 6 between 7 and 8, so on, so forth. Less than 10 for each hour reported. But you know, you can sit back in the comfort of your home and say, okay, that's not me. If you go out to one area, 22, 22, and 360, Rich Parsons has been live out there for the last hour show, showing us, I mean, just backups and cars in trouble. Rich, what can you tell us?
Well, it's gone from bad to worse out here. I'll show you where they've closed it down now. They've closed down 2222 just westbound, right at 360. You can see the police officer's car right here. They've got a roadblock. Now they have closed the off-ramp from 360. That they were letting cars come down the ramp here, but that little bridge right there over the creek is a sheet of ice. We've been watching the cars slide down there. The little turnoff right here has been closed since we got out here about an hour ago, and you can see the tow truck right here. They brought in a tow truck to get a couple of the vehicles that are stuck on that sheet of ice right there. So it is really bad out here. If you're out and about today, first, you probably shouldn't be, but if you are, stay out of this area because we don't know when this is going to open. They're still waiting for sand trucks and de-icing trucks to get out here. The problem isn't necessarily this intersection, but there's some bridges a little bit farther west on 2222 that they say are impassable right now. So it is still a mess out here, and it will remain that way for the foreseeable future. Back to you.
All right, Rich Parsons out there live in the cold. Thank you very much for that report. And as he said, hills and curves are the things to watch out for this morning.
You know, on a regular drive there, as if those hills and curves aren't bad enough, you got to deal with this. Well, you can go on there now because as Rich was pointing out, it's closed.
And of course, we've been with you for this entire hour. Our KXAN Chopper 36 has been in the sky as well. They are at that trouble spot that TxDOT John Hurt was warning us about earlier, 71 near the Pertinalis River, and it is icy. And believe it or not, as the crews de-ice and put the sand down and the chemicals down, people are still trying to drive over that mess. And as long as you are watching KXAN throughout the day, we'll have this ticker that talks about school closings, business closings. And go ahead, Rajay.
Okay, yeah, and again, a live look from Highway 71 across the Pertinalis River. You know, real concerned about the situation there, but people driving slowly nonetheless. And just near that bridge, you saw those TxDOT sand trucks there trying to make sure everything's all right.
And we want to end up with Sean, who was in the First Warning Weather Center. And Sean, we had EMS tell us they've treated 10 people from falls out on their sidewalks and driveways in front of their own homes. That's not going to change throughout the day, is it?
No, not if we don't get above freezing, and the cloud cover is the key here. We need to get rid of the cloud cover. This is a visible satellite image, and it does show that the clouds are starting to break. We'll go for 30s, and after that, hopefully not get too cold tonight, but it looks like 20s. Stay tuned. Of course, we'll have 4, 6, and 10, the latest with Jim Spencer and everybody here. Thanks for watching KXAN NBC Austin.